Our next laboratory exercise is Lab 16, and this is just primarily an overview of an idea that we can keep class declaration and class implementation in different files. So part of this discussion is that when we create new member functions in classes, it's possible to write everything inside the class declaration, which is the inline approach, so directly in the body of the class, and it's easy to do something like this. So when the code is still new, it's possible that function parameters may have to change. Maybe we can tweak some or add new return type to the function. So we change all sorts of, make all sorts of changes at early stages. But once we begin to achieve stability in terms of the versions of member functions that we have, typically it's a good idea to separate the header file from any implementation. And for this, we need to organize our code into the two sets, the header file and a corresponding implementation file. If there's really a lot of functionality in your class with hundreds of operations, it's possible to have multiple implementation files for your class. So in Lab 15, there was plenty of new code added to the definition of our class. So implementation of the class was also added to the project, but all member functions remain written directly in the body of the corresponding C++ class inside the header file. So in this lab, instead of adding any new features, we just simply split the code into the header file and into the implementation file .cpp. So there are two possibilities to do all the work manually. Or we can just download and unzip the complete version of the refactored or changed version of Lab 15, which separates declaration of the CDrawBox class from its implementation. So let me take a look at the content of my project. So I'm jumping back to the Lab subfolder. Under Labs, right here, I have my laboratory exercises, and Lab 15 Scratch was the latest one, so I'm just going to continue this work inside my Lab 15, but of course we're going to make a copy of it, so this will be new name for the folder and for the laboratory. So let's start by making a copy. I'm just going to right click and copy, and then just paste directly here and rename the subfolder to use the new version right here. So basically just updating Lab 15 with Lab 16. So it's the same laboratory exercise. So now I'm going to open this project in Visual Studio. Okay, and again moving to the laboratory exercises, and so now this is Lab 16, and we'll just open its solution file. And now we can say View, Solution Explorer, and complete renaming this to Lab 16. Okay, so we're just going to use the same name for solution, for the project. Again, just right click, rename, and also for the typically it's just one of the possibilities to keep main files the same as the name of your project, so that it's easy to recognize which one of these implementation files contains the main function. Okay. So overall, the idea of class declaration and class implementation. So consider this this example of a declaration definition of a class, and we say declaration definition because it provides both the declaration of the class It has, of course, the body of the class, which opens with an opening brace and closing brace. And then it provides constructors and some member functions right here, which demonstrates definition of constructors and member functions in line. So basically we add bodies to our constructors and our functions directly in the body of the class. So the question is this always a good idea to keep implementation of your member functions and constructors in line? Where exactly should this code be written in your application? So it's possible that as a concept this is quite okay. However, it's also possible that multiple C++ source files are going to require the access to the class. In our case, it's an example of a person with a name and constructors and member functions to access and modify it. So it's a standard coding practice to place the class declaration in a header file, which means that we're going to remove the implementation and name it .h, use .h or .hpp or sometimes .hxx extensions, and then include the header as necessary on a need-by-need basis in other files. So this is the modified, the updated version of the class right here, right? So here, basically, it's all the same, but all type of implementation is replaced with semicolon. So the only stuff that remains here inside the header file is a set of declarations. So class implementation basically takes every member function right here, and of course we need to prefix each constructor and other member functions of the class with the name of the class and the scope resolution operator, right? So the colon is the scope resolution operator right here. So it's the same set of function, 1, 2, 3, 4 functions, and here 1, 2, 3, 4 definitions of these member functions. So just pretty standard approach. And then just like with our CDrawBox example, we add the definition, the implementation file to the list of our source files. And the header file we can just include in other source files to continue getting access to the declaration of your class. So in our case, what we're going to work on is our CDrawBox. Right, so the process of reorganizing, or also known as refactoring the code, is that we need to basically open both of these files in our source editor and step by step move definitions of member functions from CDrawBox.h to CDrawBox.cpp. So let's go back to the project. So this is my lab 16, the copy that is now being updated, and we're working on it. So I'm just going to go to Fluid project where CDrawBox.h resides, right? So we're going to open it right here and take a quick look at the content and then move all function implementations over to the implementation file away from this header file. So this is the work that we're going to do. So before we make actual changes, the advice is that the header file pretty much never should contain ordinary function definitions like non-member functions of any classes, just free functions, and data definitions. The linker will typically be very unhappy finding multiple copies of function definitions and data definitions. So these things belong to implementation files. but the header should always contain and may contain, it's a great place for class definitions or declarations like this, function declarations, constant data definitions, and also enumerations. All right, so this is the overview, the summary set of ideas related to this specific exercise. So these are some advice, and I'll just complete this lab to move to make necessary modifications.